So hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you. My name is Stephanie Anderson, and I am the Industry Operations Manager right here at the National Apartment Association. I'm really excited to be here today, and I just want to welcome all of our members in attendance. Thank you for joining our webinar, Turn Resident Challenges into Solutions They'll Tell Their Friends About. What a great topic. So before we dive into today's action-filled webinar, I just want to take a moment to go over a few basic housekeeping rules. So today's webinar is being recorded and it will be sent to all registered attendees later on this week. So in case you have to hop off for an important call, we hope you won't, but if you do, it will be recorded. We do feel very confident that the information shared here today is going to be so fantastic. You're also going to want to share this with your friends and your colleagues. And so we will be able to send that information out to you. And then of course, it'll also be located at our naahq.org website for later viewing. Today's speaker will be taking live questions at the end of her presentation. So should you have any questions, I'm going to encourage you to use that Q&A box right down there on your Zoom account. Feel free to enter those all throughout the presentation, and Veronica will take those as she sees fit. It may be during or it may be towards the end. Either way, go ahead and use that. The chat is here for us to communicate as well, but if we can keep all of those questions into the Q&A box, it'll make it a lot easier for us to navigate throughout today's webinar. And if there's any additional questions that we don't have time for, Veronica's going to share her information at the very, very end of her presentation. And so feel free to reach out to her if you have any additional questions. She's an expert, and I'm sure she would love to share additional information with you all. So now for the main event. I am super, super excited to welcome our guest speaker, Veronica Romney. Veronica is 12+ year branding and marketing veteran who has executed marketing campaigns for some of the world's most respected brands. Even more than that, she is a wife and a mother, an entrepreneur, and an advocate for the you who wants more but doesn't know how. You may remember Veronica too, as she comes from our industry previously and has spoken at various events through NAA, such as previous Apartmentalize conferences. So she does have a familiar face that you may recognize. She's also the founder of My Modern Brand. It's a branding and marketing education company that helps great people and great companies clarify their brand message, find their unique brand voice, and market themselves authentically. So when she isn't busy wrangling a business or 2 kids, she is an international speaker with topics including branding, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, self-education, business knowledge, and so much more. And so I'm thrilled. Veronica, the stage is all yours, my friend. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I always feel like I kind of get flushed hearing my introduction because it's just the bio. But I think the most important thing that you need to know about me is, one, I have great affection for the apartment industry because I was a director of marketing at Entrata for 4 years. So if you are an Entrata friend and on this webinar, please tell me in the chat because, yeah, I love all of my colleagues that I got to meet and work with and for 4 years until I felt like it was time for me to do what my parents have done. So I'm the oldest daughter to Cuban immigrant parents. I have a belief that entrepreneurs tend to birth other entrepreneurs, and it was time for me to start my own thing and really express my full marketing nerdiness. But I have to show you guys this. I was trying to find this picture and I found it right before we went live. So I spoke at NA years ago because in this picture, I'm sitting on a panel with Michelle Morello from Wynn, Sarah Graham from Dolben, and Holly Beckman from WC Smith. And I was very pregnant in this picture. So while I was with Entrata, I had my first son. And then when this picture was taken, I was pregnant with my second son. So in a lot of ways, I grew up in this industry and I grew up before you as the marketer that I am today. And I'm a very, very nerdy marketer. So we are not going to have a traditional webinar presentation. I'm here to teach you. And we're going to do that with the only asset that you need for today's purposes is actually going to be this asset. So I've already been posting it in the chat, but if you have not had a chance to download today's webinar worksheet. This is the worksheet that I will be walking you through and teaching you concepts, especially obviously marketing concepts, to help you transform a resident problem into a resident solution that really differentiates you and obviously your asset, even if you're targeting very similar residents, which we will discuss in detail. So if you had not have had a chance to download the worksheet, this is the worksheet that we'll be going through. I just put it in the chat. So without further ado, and you know I'm nerdy when I have different color highlighters for today. But this is a near and dear topic for me because I feel like I feel like the calling of a marketer is honestly just to not just, I mean, the company solves the problems, but it's the marketer's job to help the resident, help the customer, the consumer, prospective customer, consumer, resident, know that you're the person that can help them fill a gap that they either have in their life or something that they're trying to achieve or aspire, right? So when it comes to this year in particular, 2020, is it over yet? Like, I'm over it. If you're over 2020 and you're ready for 2021, will you put it in the chat? Because I'm just like, I've had it. Like, I'm ready for the new year in so many ways, not just, you know, for hopefully a different feeling, but it's been a hard year. And especially when it comes to those of us that are confined in our homes and confined in our apartments, and you're no stranger to this, right? Like right before the pandemic, I moved my little family. We're a family of 4. I have 2 man cubs. They're half naked half the time, is why I call them man cubs. And we moved from Boca Raton, Florida, in a home that was 1,600 square feet to a home that's now over 3,000 square foot in North Carolina. Same price of home, but you know, real estate. And my husband and I talk all the time, like, man, are we grateful. We're so grateful that we're not in a 1,600 square foot home, because can you imagine converting our old little, you know, we call it the little kid house. Can you imagine converting that into 2 offices for me and my husband, then a virtual schoolroom, then a gym, then, you know, a place for you to have a private teledoc conversation with your doctor, to like all of the things, you know, the 24-hour diner, like just all of the things. The women in the group, you know what I'm saying. We're all shaking our heads like, we know. Like, so what used to be okay and how our lives were constructed and how we conducted our affairs, you know, our work life, our personal lives, our family life, you know, everything's changed obviously because of COVID-19. Now, I'm not making light of COVID-19. My entire family in Florida, you know, contracted it. My mom was hospitalized. My grandfather was hospitalized. Like, it's a very serious situation. But and I don't want to, I'm not making light of it. I'm just making light of the insanity that it is for us to try to preserve a normal life with everything that we have on our plate. And it's not any different for you, and it's not different for your residents. And so each of us, because of the global pandemic, have a new set of problems that we have to now overcome. And what I want to do with the intentions of this webinar is to position you and your assets as the solution provider to your residents' problems. And I'm going to walk you through that process from the marketer's standpoint. How do you differentiate? How do you, you know, rise up to the occasion? How do you create viral, phenomenal word of mouth that only you and your assets can provide, regardless if you manage assets across the street from one another? Every property is different. Every resident is different. And I'm going to teach you how to do that, how to answer the moment. And I will say this, I'm not a lawyer. I don't live in each of your states. I don't know all the intricacies of each of your properties and what you can and can't do. All I'm going to do for you today is come with a creativity mindset, an abundant mindset. So I'm going to throw out lots of ideas and lots of examples to instruct you further. Take them if they fit. Okay? So I love all the chats. Like I'm ready for a new start over it. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So if you haven't downloaded your worksheet, I wanted to give you guys some time. One more time for anybody who just joined us. You're going to be using this worksheet and I'm going to walk you through it. So starting at the very, very, very top, I as a marketer I take issue when I see a sales page, a funnel, a website. It doesn't matter the landing destination on the internet. I take issue with brands or companies that try to solve all of the world's problems with one product or one offer. That is impossible. We cannot solve all of the world's problems, but we can always start with one problem by one person. Now, when I'm instructing whether I'm consulting with a big brand or I'm consulting with individual entrepreneurs, I always ask them the same question that I'm going to ask you, which is, who is your Doris? Now, you're like, who's Doris? So let me explain who Doris is and why Doris is so critical for every single business brand entity when you are trying to have a conversation with anybody who is prospective, customer, resident, doesn't matter. Doris, the story of Doris actually comes from the Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, very famous billionaire, worth over $80 billion. As you can imagine, he gets plenty of media coverage. And he writes a very famous letter every single year to his shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway. So this is a letter on behalf of him to essentially write his customers, the people that do conduct business with him, that have a relationship with him, the brand. Like, it's an important letter. So yes, he is technically writing a letter to his customers or his shareholders in this situation. But as you can imagine, because of the brand that he is and the notoriety that he has, it is a document that is widely consumed by everyone, right? Every media outlet, finance classes. Like I remember reading one of those letters when I was, at BYU in a finance class. So this letter that gets released every year that he alone writes is widely published, widely criticized, widely consumed. And he's done it for so long that it's now like a chronicle, like it's like a book where you can see all the letters of years past. And I've known this for a long time. What I didn't know about this letter that really struck me is that when he goes to pen this letter, he only writes to one person. And her name is Doris. So Warren Buffett quiets the noise, quiets the conversation. He's not having a conversation with an auditorium. He's having a conversation with one person, and her name is Doris. And Doris is actually Doris Buffett. It is his sister. So yes, Doris Buffett is obviously he has an emotional connection with this person. She too is a shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway. So she fits the box of customer. But more importantly than just label that is customer, shareholder, resident, she is somebody that means something to him. And I don't know about you, but when I'm conversing with somebody that I have an emotional connection to, it tends to draw things out of me. So for example, if you're a parent, you have that mom voice or the dad voice. Like when you're talking to your kids, you have the voice that it's like a tone, right? And then when you're talking to your spouse, sometimes it's not that much different than your parental voice, depends on the day. But, for most of us, we have the spouse voice, the parent voice. We have, like when I'm out with my girlfriends and we're venting, I have my girlfriend voice. When I'm on stage in front of thousands of people, I very much have like my speaker armor and I have my speaker voice. Today, I have my instructor voice because I have a Doris in my head of who I'm speaking to right now, regardless of the fact that we have over 100 different people on this webinar at the same time. I am speaking to Doris. Now, we should all have a Doris, because what does Doris actually give us? When you are crystal clear of who you're speaking to, it does some wonders for your marketing. Number one, it gives you brand tone of voice, right? What is the tone? Is it conversational? Is it professional? Is it your girlfriend voice? Is it your mom voice? What tone are you carrying? And that's important because when you have tone and you assign that to an asset, to a brand, it gives it personality, okay? The second thing that Doris gives all of us is it gives us consistency in that tone. So it gives us tone, brand tone, and then it gives us consistency. And I know as a marketer, it is very evident to me when I read your website copy versus reading your blog versus reading your social media copy or your sales page or your email. I can tell when there are different writers writing on behalf of the same entity because they're all writing to different Dorises. It's very clear to me when there isn't a consistent, outlet or person that the collective writers are writing for. And the third thing that Doris gives you, probably the most critical thing that Doris gives you, is it gives you customer language. Now, we as marketing experts, we as industry experts, we tend to speak with our expert words, right? So like, if you're a Tony Robbins fan, you'll know that he says all the time, this is a limiting belief, or this is a mindset issue, or this is, it's all in here. And that's his kind of terminology that he uses as to why you cannot be the person that you want to be. I'll tell you right now that no one is telling their husband at 10 o'clock at night that they have a mindset issue. Like, that's not what a normal person would say in normal conversation. That's not the language that they would use. What would they say? I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends. I just, like, I can't get ahead. I feel I've kind of like lost myself. I'm a mom. I'm this, I'm that. Like, think about the language that actual human beings use. Think about the language that Doris uses, because as a marketer, that's the language that you need to speak. We speak Doris's language, not expert language. A phenomenal speaker, like one of the best speakers in the world, they'll always start their keynote. The first half of a keynote presentation is all customer language. And then the second half of the conversation is when we start to move the audience into expert language, to have them adopt your key note, your key idea. So customer language, consistency, and tone is what talking to one person in your mind, or when you're going to construct your social post, your email copy, your sales page, and when you're going about solving a problem, describing the problem as your resident describes the problem will serve you so much better than you trying to describe the problem in your language, not their language. So where do you find resident language? Where do you find phenomenal customer language, right? That's where marketers and researchers, we go to like Facebook groups, and we go to Reddit threads, and we go to these online sources where people tend to vent. It's a phenomenal place. It's a gold mine for sincere, unfiltered customer language, especially in regards to the problem as they describe the problem, that you can use then in your marketing copy. So I want each of you, if you were to have a homework assignment for me, your teacher today, is to find a resonant for each of your assets that becomes your Doris. It's the person that you have an emotional connection with, that you want to learn more about her or him, their problems, and how you can meet them and help them solve their problems. Now, let's talk about problems, because there's different levels of problems. And when I say that, what I mean by that is you can't solve a problem that someone doesn't know that they have. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to convince somebody that they have a problem, as opposed to just meeting them where they are. So what I mean by that, what you'll see as one of the charts on your worksheet, is what I consider awareness level. Somebody who is completely unaware that they have a problem, for you will be the hardest thing that you will undertake in trying to convince somebody that they have a problem that they don't know that they have. Now, at the very bottom, somebody who's completely aware of your asset, of your property, of your product, that is the easiest person to sell, because at this point, they've heard about you, their friend lives at your place, they follow you on social media, or they've seen your images before. Like they already aware of you as being the product to buy or the place to lease, right? So let me describe what it means and how I view that as a marketer. So somebody who is completely unaware, completely oblivious, unaware, is someone that has no idea why they're gaining weight in COVID-19. Like they're just unaware. Like it's just not even on their radar. Okay. So you trying to convince somebody that they should look in the mirror is probably not a conversation that is in your best interest of having, because who wants to do that? Okay. Somebody who is problem aware is somebody who is now aware that their clothes is no longer fitting, or they're not wearing jeans because no sir, or wearing leggings and good thing zooms right about here. No, somebody that's problem aware is that they're aware that there's a problem, that they feel that they've gained weight, or their neck or their back hurts because they're sitting all day doing Zoom call after Zoom call after Zoom call, right? That's a problem aware. They're aware that there's a problem in now their life. Okay. Solution aware is now they're aware that there needs to be an answer to the problem, and they're thinking about, do I get a row machine? Do I get a Peloton bike? Do I get the Nordic Track? Do I and maybe they're not even so much aware of like the labels or the brands, but now they're aware that like, okay, my gym's, it wasn't just 2 weeks closed. Now the gym Orange Theory has been closed for months. I need to like put a gym in my house. Crap. Like they're now aware that there's a solution that they need to come about. And then product aware is where we start to hear the names. They're aware of Nordic Track, and they're debating, do I get the commercial grade? Do I get the at-home grade? Do I get that brand? Do I get another brand? Do I get this row or that row? Like now they're very much aware that you're even a solution for them. As a marketer, the sweet spot is problem aware, because when you're talking directly to a problem and positioning your solution or the success that you want to promise somebody as an answer to the problem, you tend to also attract the solution aware people and the product aware people. That as a marketer is like the sweet spot, because people will spend money to solve problems. That's where they are most likely to whip out a credit card and actually help you or pay you to help themselves. So I encourage each of you to look at every problem not as something more on the to-do list of the endless to-do list, but as now an opportunity for creativity and an abundant mindset to help provide a solution, which I will teach you how to do that. So now, some of you literally manage properties across the street from each other. I remember this when I worked at Entrada, and I know that resident profiles can be very similar or very disparate, or how do you differentiate when you are literally in the same industry, if not competing with yourself sometimes, which happens. By the way, you're not the only industry. When I work with a lot of network marketers, it's the same problem. I literally have women across the street from each other as neighbors that are selling the same network marketing products. So how do you differentiate when the product is essentially the same, or you're in a crazy oversaturated marketplace like the internet? So this is where understanding what a unique selling proposition is. But for today's purposes, we're not going to focus on the selling so much as the unique solution proposition. So if you've never heard that term, USP, nerdy stuff, a unique selling proposition is the factor presented by a seller as the reason that one product or service is different from or better than the competition. AKA, okay, that's expert language. AKA, right? Here's my Doris language. 99% of the products that feel new are never new. Never new. What a unique selling proposition is, what a unique solution proposition is essentially you creating either a new opportunity, a new approach, a new angle, or a spin. You're spinning something that's already in existence. And I'll explain how that, I'll explain what that means. But 99% of the products that are out there are not new. They're just being presented to you in a new way, a new opportunity, a new hook. Okay. So now, if you can nail a unique solution proposition, this is where we create insane word of mouth. This is where you don't have to spend nearly as much money on expensive paid advertising. This is where your current residents sell to prospective residents for you, is by how you package a solution to a problem. Okay, so I'm going to give you some non-industry specific examples to prove to you what a unique selling proposition is, what creating a new opportunity looks like. Okay, so let's talk about, what does our resident want? On the second page, we're going to go with a scenario. My resident wants to lose the quarantine pounds, like freshman 15, was it COVID 15? Like, our resident is problem aware. They know that they are not feeling great. They know they don't look the same in the mirror, and dang it, right? Like, so we want to help them lose the quarantine pounds. How do we do that? Okay. Here are 3 companies that essentially do the same thing in a unique opportunity, in a unique hook, way, angle, spin. Keto diet. You have all seen keto diet. You have seen keto diet around for decades. And how do I know this? What is keto diet almost identical to as far as other diets? Put in the chat, what other diets are almost identical to the keto diet, in your opinion? I'm Atkins, South Beach, Atkins, yes, South Beach, Atkins, obviously, yes. Paleo, who did that? Heather. If I could throw a virtual prize at you, I would right now. Good job. You are absolutely right. Atkins, South Beach, Paleo diet, Whole30. If you have seen any of these, it's essentially keto diet, because what do they all have in common? They're low carb. This is a low carb, restriction based solution to you losing weight. So why did keto blow up? Because of the way they packaged it. Their whole hook was, if you can get your body in ketosis, aka keto, by tapping in. So if you can get your body into ketosis, you tap into a different type of fuel to energize your body, aka cutting carbs. They took something medical that had a cute name like ketosis, and it became the name of the diet. It's still low carb. It just feels new. And guess what? We, as consumers, as human beings, the way that our brain works, the way that your resident's brain works, is we love novelty. We love something that feels different. Okay. What Carolina says, wow, haha, genius. It sounds pretty. It does. Keto sounds, it rolls off the tongue. It feels new. We love new. We love novelty, but it's not a new idea. It's low carbs. Okay. Second example. Who else? I'm an Orange Theory person. I love Orange Theory. If anybody else is, Orange Theory person, let me know, because I'm obsessed with it. But as much as I'm obsessed with Orange Theory is not the inventor of high intensity interval training. It's not the inventor of a treadmill. It's not the invention of this high intense workout. So why did Orange Theory become one of the fastest, sexiest franchises ever? Why? Because they called it Orange Theory. Same thing. Their whole angle, the whole pitch to solving the same problem, which is to lose weight and get in better shape, is if you can keep your body in the orange zone for 12 minutes, then you burn calories and you increase the rate of your metabolism for up to 24 hours. What is the orange zone? It's just a heart rate. That's it. They took low heart rate, medium heart rate. They just took basically the speed of your heart, right? Your heart rate. They attributed a color, and they said, if you can stay in the orange zone for 12 minutes or more in a 45 to an hour minute workout at Orange Theory, you win, sister. Oh, you win. So you get on that row, you get on the treadmill, you lift those weights for 20 minutes of your circuit, and you're feeling amazing because you have a little Bluetooth device that tells you how many splat points, how many points you've been in the zone to have the best outcome. It's just really beautiful wrapping on the same concept, which is high interval, right? High intensity interval training. And yet I'm addicted. I'm hooked. I love Orange Theory. Love it. Okay. Last one, Plexus. So Plexus is it's a network marketing group. PS, network marketing groups blew up in COVID. Any kind of pitch that says work from home did super well, FYI. Plexus is one of these big network marketing groups where they exploded this year. And again, they're promising health and they're promising weight loss, but it's not through high intensity training and it's not through keto. It's through your gut. It's gut health. It's pretty much probiotics. It's helping you feel good on the outside by working on your inside. You could tell me how many gut health companies that you know of off the top of your head. How many supplements have you taken that you purchased on Amazon that are sitting in your counter, whether it's a yogurt or a probiotic or whatever? Gut health is not original. It's not a new idea. And yet, Benefiber, and yet Plexus, their whole thing is you take this powder, you put it in water, you shake it up, and it's this really, really Instagram-worthy pink drink. And you drink your pink drink every single morning, and it balances your sugar levels, making you feel full because it has fiber in it. So it curbs your cravings. I mean, we've heard these things before. Again, keto diet, Orange Theory, Plexus, they're not reinventing the wheel. I'm not taking away from the companies. They're phenomenal companies, but they're not any different than what we've already seen before as consumers. They just gave you a unique selling proposition. Okay, so each of you have a Doris, and if you know her well enough, you now know her problems, and more importantly, how she describes those problems in her customer language. Now it's our job to find our unique solution proposition. And there are 8 ways to create what Orange Theory created, what Keto Diet created, what Plexus has created, okay? There are 8 structure or ways in which you can differentiate yourself, even if you have the same product or asset or, solving the same problem. We all have residents that probably are not in great shape. We all have residents that wish the walls were, thicker for the Zoom calls. We all have residents where the kids are driving them crazy. I mean, we all have residents that have problems, but you have a tone to talk to your Doris that is unique to your asset. So what are the 8 ways to create a unique selling, aka solution proposition? Number 1, order. The order in which you do something is unique to that solution. So it's basically the sequence of your process or the sequence in which you do something. So if you're a physical trainer and you decide to work out your client in a different order than what I'm used to, that's going to feel unique to me. I'm like, oh, it's novel. I've never worked out that way. A really great example of this on the internet kind of blew up. And I was personally offended by this because I am Cuban and I know how to make rice. Okay. But there was somebody on the internet, maybe if you guys remember, if you remember this, put this in the chat. I think it was a woman who, like, the internet freaked out because the order in which she cooked her rice offended me. She didn't wash her rice before she cooked it. Ashley's like laughing. Yes. She washed her rice after she cooked it. Like, what the freak? I was offended by this. And yet It was the order in which she did something that everybody lost their mind, me included. Jessica, yes, I have seen this. No, yes. I'm like, right, like you don't wash the rice after you cook it. This person washed the rice after they cook it. They changed the order of something that we all have like in our heads. Like there's like a baseline, there's a standard, and she changed it up. I think it's a she, maybe it was a he. I want to say she. So that's the first way. Is there something that you do that's in a different order than the norm that would make it feel different in how you present a solution? The second thing to differentiate yourself, even if you're selling the same thing, is container. Container is basically like a delivery mechanism. Is there some way that you deliver the good in a different container that makes it feel unique? So 2 examples of this is, how many of you, put in the chat, how many of you have signed up for HelloFresh, Blue Apron, Freshly, Marley Spoon? I feel like I've tried all of them, Purple Carrot. Like, how many of you have received a box to your house with all of your food? They didn't cook it for you. You're still cooking, but it was the container. It was a unique way in which you received the contents of your future meal. Okay, lean cuisine is a really good example. It's a really, really good one. Another good example of a container differentiation is rehabilitation centers. So before Entrada, when I was an executive account manager and I had a number of clients, one of my clients was a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center, and it was this place nestled in like the middle of Utah. And that was the hook. That was the unique selling proposition. That was the angle, is that we're going to help you overcome this disease, overcome this addiction by completely removing you from the world and like isolating you in the middle of nowhere, being one with nature and animals, and like truly detoxing your system, not just from substance, but from everything. And you'll see a lot of these rehabilitation centers or things of that kind of experience where like they're removing you from the norm. It's the container in which they're delivering their solution. That's container, okay? Lisa needs to have some lunch. HelloFresh, num, num, num. Number 3, combination. Is there something that you do is like almost like a mashup of 2 different things that make it unique? So I think about like Donald Miller and Story Brand. It's a phenomenal book if you've never read one. He basically mashed up like the structure of fictional writing, having a hero and having an enemy and coming across a guide and having success, like almost like movie, script writing and fictional writing. And he brought that to the business world and said, your customer is the hero, not you. You, the business, are the guide to help your customer to their success. He took a mashup of 2 industries, like almost 2 disciplines, and he brought it together. It's like a $10 million+ business. Another good mashup example of this, again, I say Tony Robbins just because like I'm a speaker for him. So like I know a lot of his products, right? One of his products is called Life and Wealth. And it's basically a retreat. You go off to his retreat in Fiji. And the promise of this retreat is to help you get your finances in order and also take back and control your health. So literally you go to Fiji and you learn about business, and then you do like 4 colonics in a week, and you're on this like super strict diet. So you get there, you leave 10 pounds, 15 pounds later, and you've learned finance. How does that make any sense? But for Tony, all business starts with the business owner here. And so he mashes up like NLP, he mashes up, psychology and more of the mental discipline. And then he brings it into the business world, which also makes him extremely successful. So combination is basically mashing up 2 concepts. There are 2 worlds that you can combine into one that makes it feel unique. Number 4, probably the easiest one, is speed. Can you help me lose weight faster? Well, weight loss pills, that's definitely one of their angles, is speed. What is the speed in which you are delivering the service? Is there something that you do in providing for your residents that's faster than anybody else just because of your location or because of the extent of your management staff or whatever that you can do. Speed. I have a product, it's like a $37 like mini course that teaches you how to launch a digital product in 7 days or less without overwhelm. That's a speed product. Okay. Number 5, curation. It's basically the way that you teach something. It's the curation of the knowledge, the curation of the information. So, or the curation of the presentation. A good example of this is like, if you've been on Facebook at all, you'll probably see a ton of invitations for like Facebook challenges or Facebook series. It's like every day they go live. That is a curation of information that they're bringing it to you in this kind of like in a container, which is Facebook, and they're curating information that they're dripping to you every single day. This webinar is a curation. We're curating information from different speakers that come and present to you and share their expertise. Another curation is a buffet. You go to Vegas and it's those big buffets. That is a curation of food, and they're presenting all the options. It's just the way in which they actually share something with you, whether it's little amount or small quantity, big quantity. What's the curation? 6, experience. High touch, low touch. If you've been in Nordstrom's, you know what that is. You go to Nordstrom's, that's a high touch experience. A lot of Nordstrom's will even have like restaurants inside of it. It's high touch experience. Is there something that your asset does that their selling point or the solution they're providing is the experience? Yes, movie theaters are closed, but Friday nights we do an 80-foot tall white screen along the side of the building, and everybody can watch a movie that we, you know, paid for or whatever, and all of you are socially distanced, and we're gonna come and we're gonna serve you drinks and we're gonna, whatever. Like, again, hopefully I didn't break any legal rule, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an experience that you're providing at your place. Number 7, my least favorite, is price. I don't think any of you should be rushing to be the cheapest, or have, at least I should say, I should make the argument, have not be the only thing that differentiates you. If price is a big one, and I have some products that price is a compelling factor, like a $37 mini course, that's super cheap. But in those cases, we want to make sure that we're combining it with a different one. So if it's price and speed, or price and curation, fine. But price on its own, you know, that's the Amazon, it's the Walmarts, and that's why they're like taking over the world and like destroying small businesses, right? 8, and the last one. I feel like you guys are all like marketing experts now. Tell me if you feel like my marketing has like gone up. Like this, I'm hoping to just like pour into you my marketing wisdom, that you feel even more confident when you go to help your residents and meet them in their problems. You're doing it in their language, and you're doing it in a unique way that feels different, because when you do that, they tell their friends. They tell their friends. This is how we create organic word of mouth marketing and advertising. It's to your benefit. Okay. Heather, wow. Need to digest. Can't wait to use it tomorrow. Rick, this has been the best Zoom webinar all pandemic. Wow. Thank you. That's awesome. Good. Let's go. We're in the zone. Number 8, quality. This is where you buy the organic chicken or the oat milk. The quality is just the best, right? And I when I think about quality, I also think about like quality time. This is where I think about like one-on-one time or one-on-one services. Like, if that is the angle that, like, you know, so for example, if I knew that some of my residents, if my Doris, and this is more of the sadder side of the pandemic, you know, mental health is a problem right now. There's a lot of isolation, and we as human beings don't do so good all by ourselves. Okay. So there's a lot of isolation. Can you provide them opportunities for one-on-one time, which is one of the love languages, is just you and me. And again, depending on what you can do with the staff that you have and the resources, and now your creativity, your little marketing creativity mindsets I'm, you know, evoking in you guys right now, is there something that you can do that is a quality, unique solution proposition? So let's go through that. Order, container, combination, speed, curation, experience, price, and quality. Okay. I want to make sure we have time for some Q&A. My big asterisk on this is that you can have more than one. You don't have to just stick in one of those 8. You can do a combination of more than one. I do all the time. And honestly, the more of those 8, the more that you tug on, the more irresistible, the more viral, the more unique, and the more that your residents will tell their friends, because it becomes more irresistible of a solution when it hits on multiple of those 8. When it's a little bit of a container and speed or price or curation. Think about some of your favorite experiences. Think about why you liked this webinar. Why was this, what in Rick's opinion, like, why was this the best webinar so far? Was it because I'm delivering it to you in a different way? Because I'm not hiding behind a PowerPoint, because we're doing some good work, because I'm giving you things that you can actually implement tomorrow and as soon as you get off? Like, think about the experiences that you had that then you felt compelled to go tell your friends about it, to go tell your boss about it, to go tell anybody about it. Why? It's probably because there was something novel or different inside of these 8 disciplines that made you do that. It's just how human beings think. So I'm asking you to look inside of yourself, because it helps you then serve your resident. Because my personal definition of what any phenomenal brand is, whether it be a personal brand or a company brand, all brands, the best brands in the world, their power is to empower others. When they are not the main character of the story, when they are not the protagonist, when they are happily, like when they happily take on, Robin, not Batman, right? Like when you can make your resident the hero of their story and helping them and solving their problems, they will never forget you. Not only does your retention go up, right? But then they become your little sales force, bringing their friends, bringing everybody else and telling the word. They're sharing the news on social media. They're upgrading their room from 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom as their family grows. Like, they stay with you. They stay with you when you meet them where they are. So each of you have creativity and abundance. Each of you have now been armed with some more marketing tools in your tool belt to go forth and serve your residents in a different, unique way. And this is the conclusion of my teaching today. I think Stephanie, you're still here. We do have 10 minutes remaining for some Q&A. I'm happy to do and answer any questions I can.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Veronica. I'm really hopeful that we're going to have lots of questions. I know we've already gotten a couple of people that have just asked, how do I download the sheet?
Oh,
super easy. Veronica's going to put it back in the comments. She's been putting it, there it is, earlier, but I know if you were late joining, it doesn't always show you that. So super, super easy. You can click on that and download that worksheet. I did it earlier today, and very, very easy and great stuff there.
Sweet. Okay. Everybody's being so nice.
I know. I love it.
Thanks, guys. That's really sweet. Okay. Oh, lots of questions. Okay. Do you want me to just start reading them?
I say you just dive right in.
Okay. Let me answer the easiest one. Tiffany Brooks, can you say the 8 propositions one more time? Yes, ma'am. It is. And this is also being recorded, so you can always go back. Order, container, combination, speed, curation, experience, price, quality. Sweet. Okay. Christine, will you share your notes with us? You want me to scan my notes? I think I can do it. Stephanie, I don't know how you can distribute that, but I have no problem scanning my notes if anybody wants that. That's not a problem with me.
Yeah, if you want to send that to me, we can add that as a PDF attachment for when we send this out to all the attendees.
Sure.
So that can be the extra thing that you all that actually attended will get versus those who catch the webinar later. So kind of like an added bonus for coming.
Okay, Randy said, can you explain how you developed your Doris for property advertisements? Yes, so this is honestly, it's very, even when I worked at Entrada and just being in the industry for the 4 years that I was, the communication between those, like the director of marketings at the management companies and those on site with the residents, like that, if that is not, you're not besties, it's really difficult to find a Doris. It's really difficult to like find the resident that is not just like, she's 35-year-old female that has 2.5 kids on average who has an interest in Lululemon. Like, I get that's how Google and Facebook want you to define somebody because that's how their advertising platforms work. I'm telling you as a marketer, if you want to cut through the noise and actually stand out, especially with your ads, especially with your social content that you boost or whatever, is nailing, like finding the Doris. I have a Doris. I won't show you. I don't have permission to show you, but I have my Doris, her, for her safety purposes, her name is Michelle. And she's literally in a frame right here on my desk. And she lives in Arizona. She's pregnant with her third kid. She left her job, super successful corporate job. She's in her first 2 years of entrepreneurship. And I love on her and I serve her and I actually know her. So I text her, what do you need right now? What do you need right now? What can I do? Like, when you have a person making ads, saying something is so easy. And let's talk about ads right now. For example, one of my favorite ways to create a new angle or a new opportunity is what I call, and this is not on your worksheet, so come in. It's called attacking the prevailing wisdom. What is the norm or what is the prevailing wisdom? So if the prevailing wisdom says, in order for you to lose weight, you have to restrict, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this, ugh, right? If that is the norm of the dieting world and you're like, these are massive companies, keto, Atkins, that are like, I'm a nobody. I'm this big, like crap. How do I even compete with this when I don't have the budgets that they do? Which I'm sure some of the Q&A I see, like, what happens if you have a small little, asset? You can't compete with budgets like that. You can't. What you compete or how you find voice is by you saying, okay, this is the prevailing wisdom. Enough with that. Enough with that. I don't think it's about restriction. I think it's about variety. The more variety you have in the things that you eat, the more weight that you lose and you sustain. Forget restriction. You attack the prevailing wisdom. I do it all the time. I don't think every single, entrepreneur on the internet should have an online course. I don't. I attack that prevailing wisdom. I think depending on your natural communication style and your teaching style, you should have a different digital product depending on your personality first, not because everybody's telling you to build an online course, right? So from an ad perspective, especially when you are the David versus a Goliath situation, you just go right for the throat and you attack the prevailing wisdom and set yourself apart immediately in thinking a different way or approaching a situation or a problem in a different manner. I just went off on a tangent. That tends to happen. I get very excited. Okay. Okay, let me see. There's some other questions. Okay. How can I adopt anonymous? Fair enough. How can I adopt these propositions? Let's say if your property has mice issues. How can I rebrand or put a spin on you will be exterminated? It all gets very redundant and I want to tackle this problem in a different way. Okay, when you have an ugly situation, a really good example of this. You want a good example of this? I got one for you. One of my favorite commercials of all time, genius marketing, genius advertising, is Mayhem. Like the insurance company that has Mayhem. Mayhem's the guy that's always like scratched up. Mayhem is the raccoon in The Addict. Mayhem is the guy that steals your Amazon package off the front door. Mayhem breaks into your house. Mayhem. What they did, what's so genius, is they took a concept and not a real human. So it's either a concept or a mice, like mouse, and they gave it humanistic qualities and they played with it and they gave it life. So if you're having some issues as far as like rodents and things like that, and you want to take a fresh take on it or playful take on it, just look at Mayhem and play with it and not hide from it. And just like, I think you could be playful with it. You could dress somebody on the staff in a mice costume and have them run around and make that a social pose. I mean, like, think outside the box. People like creativity. They like novelty. That's just one idea. Whew. All right. Do we have time for more, or you tell me? Because I know we're like right there.
We are right there, but we have 4 more minutes. I know a lot of questions keep coming in. Let's for sure take one more.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Gary just says thanks for the news. You're welcome, Gary. Any thoughts on how a property, why I want to answer the WFH one. What would some suggestions to rebrand a WFH spaces in smaller urban? Can you give me, I don't want, I want to answer that, but I don't know if I exactly know the question. Work from home. Thanks, Emily. What would some suggestions to rebrand work from home spaces in smaller urban ones or studios? Okay. Rebrands, or just, I think, how do I say this? For children, this applies to kids too. Monkey see, monkey do. It's very difficult for somebody to conceptualize how a small space can be multi-purpose unless you show them a small space being used for multi-purpose. So if you want to rebrand something, like honestly, if you ask real estate agents right now, homeowners are requesting homes that have at minimum 2 offices and preferably at home gyms. Like now that has kind of become the standard because of COVID, which is crazy. That obviously has implications on resident, like rental properties too. You should model that. You should show it. You should exemplify how you can use something multi-purpose, which is why, like, what's that company that has like the mirror, which is like a mirror that you hang on the wall and it like works out with you, but it becomes a mirror. That's a really great example of how they took a workout equipment that is bulky and they package it in a unique selling proposition that it becomes a mirror on the wall that tells you what to do. So think like that because you have examples all around you. Okay. I think I want to keep going, but I respect everyone's time.
Well, the good news is that they can certainly reach out to you.
Sure.
If your contact information is on the form that they're downloading, correct? Okay. And click on that link, check out Veronica. She just has this wealth of knowledge that she's able to share in a multitude of different topics. And today she's talked about just some of her expertise, but certainly there is so much more. Veronica, it's been awesome to have you today. Your very calming voice and one-on-one interaction, or so it felt like, right? That you're just speaking to each of us individually. I think our members have spoken. They were impressed with today. And so for that, I am extremely grateful that you gave up some of your time today to be here with us.
I'll come back whenever you want me to. And it's been, you guys are so sweet in the comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a blast.
So I have to tell this one quick joke before we leave. So earlier, Frank on my team, we were looking over your handout, and he asked if Doris would, because we didn't know, who Doris was yet, right? And he said, "I wonder if Doris is Karen's cousin."
No.
So I've got to go back and tell him, because I told him, I said, I honestly don't know who Doris is. I'm going to learn today because I assumed that you were going to elaborate.
Yeah.
And so I'll have to go back and tell him that unfortunately Doris is not Karen's cousin.
No, I actually have her engraved on my necklace so I don't forget. Yeah, Doris. Doris is everything. Doris makes
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Well, thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. Thank you, Veronica, for all of your expertise and time. Again, this webinar has been recorded, and so we will certainly share that with you. One last thought before we go. Amber wants to know, did we plan on wearing matching animal prints? I would like to tell you that we have our lives that much put together, but no, we didn't. It's Twinning Thursday, apparently. Animal print is always in. And so really great to be able to twin with you on today's
Yeah, well, this has to be like the norm for us every time we're together.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a fantastic day, and please stay well.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.